Hi, I'm Jess and I'm a researcher here at Clinikids. Today we'll be talking about a study that looked at whether parent-reported atypical development in the first year of life is related to the age of autism diagnosis and the age at which parents felt they needed to consult a specialist about their child's development. Now, while the mean age of diagnosis of autism in Australia is around 4.5 years of age, we now know that for many children, early behavioural signs associated with a later diagnosis can actually be identified in the first 2 years of life. Early parental concerns and behavioural signs range from those that are specifically related to autism, including social communication difficulties and restrictive and repetitive behaviours, all the way through to those that don't specifically relate to a diagnostic criteria, such as motor concerns, sleep problems, and challenging behaviours. So this study used a subset of data from over 400 children with a diagnosis of autism who were between 2 and 6 years of age from the Australian Autism Biobank. As part of a questionnaire on their child's development, parents were asked if they recalled anything unusual about their child's development or behaviour during their first 6 months of life, as well as from the period between 7 to 12 months. They were also asked at what age they felt that they needed to see a specialist about their child's development. The researchers then took these reports and coded them into different domains of atypical development. Around half of parents retrospectively identified at least one area of atypical development before 6 months of age, and over 60% identified at least one area between the 7 to 12 month period. As the number of parent-reported domains of atypical development increased, the age at which parents felt a specialist consultation was needed and the age at which a child received a diagnosis of autism both considerably decreased. When looking at relationships between development in specific domains and the timing of a diagnosis, only the early aspects of atypical development that most closely correspond to an autism diagnostic criteria, including atypical social development at both time points and restricted and repetitive behaviours at 7 to 12 months, led to an earlier diagnosis of autism. This was regardless of how early parents sought help or the presence of atypical development in other areas. On average, parents felt the need to consult a specialist when their child was almost 2 years of age. And despite parents noticing these developmental differences and deviations, there was a considerable age gap between the identification timing and the age of diagnosis, with the average diagnosis being just over 3 years of age. So this study provides further evidence that early developmental deviations associated with autism can be identified in the first year of life, and it also highlights that the early concerns from families should be taken seriously and the importance of providing education for clinicians on some of the lesser known signs of autism to help with earlier identification and diagnosis. Reducing the time between identifying developmental deviations and receiving a diagnosis will help early access to support for families.